The Presidency questions the leak of audio recordings of state capture investigations and calls it unprecedented.
And now that she is resting, and can she rest in peace?
The ANC Youth League takes a swipe at former public protector and rubbishes her report on state capture. A very happy Monday to you. You're watching eNews Direct. I'm Thuli Madonsela.
And I'm Sandy Lekangqose. Good evening.
To comment on any of our stories, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNews Direct.
And tonight our hashtags are Malema and ANC Youth League.
President Jacob Zuma has laid a complaint with the Office of the Public Protector. He wants to know how the audio recordings of his meeting on allegations of state capture ended up in the public domain. The transcripts were made public by the Public Protector's office in the report. Zuma's calling the leak an unprecedented move.
All I'm asking is for honest answers. Those answers can't change with legal advice. They can't. The President will tell me the honest fact of why he removed Mr. Nene and why he appointed Mr. Van Rooyen. Say, why do you need a lawyer to advise? Because the lawyers advised you then before you did that. Now, why do you need a lawyer to be able to tell me why you removed any of those ministers?
For 180 minutes, in a meeting held in this building, Thuli Madonsela, who was public protector at the time, is heard desperately trying to extract answers from the president. However, she's unsuccessful in her efforts. Time and time again, President Jacob Zuma's lawyer, Michael Halley, is heard answering on his behalf.
With respect, madam, the fact of the matter is that the answer to those questions have legal import. There are provisions in Parliament.
Yeah, but that doesn't change the honesty around those answers.
But the actual audio recording found its way to the media, and Zuma wants answers.
We just want to know, in the main, the policy of the institution of the public protector about the release of audio recordings. Because if it is their policy to release audio recordings that are made during the course of investigations.
While the interview, described by many as frustrating, has caused quite a stir on social media, the Public Protector's office remains mum on the complaint, only saying the audio leak is in contravention of the Public Protectors Act. Leranzo Temba, Pretoria.
Julius Malema says he's prepared to go to prison for a valid cause, but not for corruption. The EFF leader appeared in the Newcastle Magistrates Court today for inciting people to occupy land wherever they choose.
Julius Malema's court appearance for incitement took less than half an hour. His lawyer intends filing an application to declare the 1956 Rioters Assemblies Act, which Malema is charged under, unconstitutional.
We find it funny that the NPA went to dig up some old statute, apartheid statute, to charge Mr. Malema under. And so if that happens, which will happen sometime this week, that is filing an application for the declaration of unconstitutionality. We will then not have to appear on the 7th of December, but appear on the 5th of May next year.
Outside court, Malema used President Jacob Zuma's words, telling supporters that he's not afraid of prison.
I am not scared of prison because of the land question, but I'm scared of prison if I go to prison for corruption. I don't want to go to prison for corruption, but I want to go to prison for the land.
Malema also used the platform to address what he termed a country on autopilot. He says South Africa should go to an early general election because two arms of the state have violated the constitution.
Who must punish Zuma is Parliament. Now we have a problem because they said the same Parliament acted like Zuma and did not respect the constitution. So both Zuma and Parliament, which I sit in, do not have legitimacy.
Malema thanked EFF supporters for their support during his court appearance, but he reserved a special mention for ANC supporters who were also present, telling them it's comforting to know that there's still a few progressives in the governing party. Thuli Madonsela, Newcastle in KwaZulu-Natal.
The ANC Youth League has hit out at former public protector Thuli Madonsela. It says she only published the state of capture report to further enhance the agenda of the Democratic Alliance.
The ANC Youth League has noted that the drama queen has left the office and therefore remains not busy these days. And as the ANC Youth League, we want to wish her well in her DA endeavors. And now that she is resting, and can she rest in peace?
At the same time, the League has a warning for the new public protector, Busisiwe Mkhwebane.
The ANC Youth League wants to advise the public protector to be careful of the staff that is in the office, because it is the same staff that has been identified as the one that has been leaking the information about the reports that are conducted in that office, and that begins to tarnish the image of the office that is concerned. And we are thinking that it would be advisable for her that she must relook at the staff that she has in the office.
Let's focus on to other news now. In a bid to avert disaster, government has released water from one of its reserves to the Val Dam. It's hoped the Sterkfontein Dam will counter the decreasing levels. In the meantime, more Gauteng municipalities are enforcing restrictions, with Ekurhuleni starting its rationing this evening.
As the Val's water levels reach an all-time low, government has had to dip into this reserve to replenish the mighty dam. Water is being released from Sterkfontein Dam from the 7th of November, and this will continue until the end of December. Government is hoping this and the predicted rainfall will hopefully make a difference.
It is important to understand that once it goes below 25%, it doesn't just mean that rainwater may not be able to extract as much as it wants, but it starts also having a possibility of impacting negatively on the infrastructure. The Val Dam is actually critical for most of the critical economic development or economic activities of the country. We cannot afford to have any of that happening, and therefore we need to keep it at least at 25% and above.
Government is planning to release 200 million cubic meters of water from here over the next 54 days. But despite numerous messages, South Africans are simply not saving. As it stands, South Africa's 211 critical dams are sitting at around 50%. That's a 16% drop from this time last year, when the dams were sitting at 66%. For instance, it will take 2 to 3 years for this specific dam to recover the water it's sending to the Val. And with South Africans failing to adhere to the message to save water, government is now looking to the January to April 2017 rains to avert disaster. Sikelelwa Mdingi, Sterkfontein Dam.
University of Johannesburg students are demanding answers after a fellow student was killed, allegedly by a bouncer. Calvin Baloyi was shot dead at a private residence in Johannesburg at the weekend. The residence is accredited by the University of Johannesburg to house students.
This is number 81 Resick Street. It's home to hundreds of students. It's also here that 21-year-old Calvin Baloyi, a computer science student, was shot dead, allegedly by a bouncer. At the time, students were apparently winding down after their year-end party.
Everybody asked the bouncer to leave because the party was over, his job was done. And then afterwards, the bouncer went to stand by the fire escape, and the guy that got shot was on this other side. And then the argument was over, so everybody was okay. And then the guy just pulled out a gun and shot the other guy.
And there are other questions.
The rules of the building say no weapons are allowed in our building. And another thing is, if you employ someone, do you not tell them what is expected of them? How could they let an armed guard come into a student res armed?
In a statement, the University of Johannesburg says it's saddened by the incident and notes that the security official involved was not in its employ.
We have been saying private securities must go.
AFCO, the company that runs the building, says it doesn't know the alleged perpetrator, believing that he entered the building with the guards employed by SNG Security. It says the security company was contracted to place 2 uniformed and unarmed guards at the party. SNG Security tells us the alleged killer does not work for it. Malungelo Bui, Johannesburg.
Let's take a look at news making international headlines. A day before the U.S. presidential elections, the FBI has cleared Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton after its latest review of the email scandal. Standing by its earlier finding, the investigative body says no criminal charges will be laid against Clinton for using a private email server for government work. Yesterday, FBI Director James Comey said his team worked around the clock to complete its review. The Clinton campaign has welcomed the announcement. And police have used pepper spray to disperse protesters in Hong Kong. They were demonstrating against new laws that crack down on pro-independence politicians. This comes after 2 lawmakers were barred from retaking their oath of office because of their independence activism. Senior government leaders have labeled the protests anti-Chinese. The DA says National Assembly Speaker Baleka Mbete has scheduled a debate of a vote of no confidence against President Jacob Zuma on Thursday. The party says it has received written confirmation from the Secretary to Parliament. It threatened legal action if the debate was not scheduled. This comes in the wake of a damning public protector report implicating the president in suspicious dealings with the Gupta family. We end with this. The National Prosecuting Authority has rubbished media reports claiming the finance minister would face new charges before Christmas. City Press reported that the new charges were in connection with the so-called SARS rogue unit. The NPA says investigations against Pravin Gordhan are at an advanced stage. But a decision on whether to prosecute him will only be made once the probe has been concluded. NPA head Sean Abrahams withdrew fraud charges against Gordhan a week ago. If you've missed any of the stories we're tracking for you, you can of course find us on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNews Direct. Or you can head on over to our website. That's enca.com/direct. Your business news as well as your weather after this. Businesses in Zimbabwe are appealing to government to adopt the South African rand as its currency. Zimbabwe currently uses a multi-currency system with the US dollar as its main legal tender.
Zimbabwe's adoption of the South African rand to replace the US dollar would encourage foreign direct investment. That's the view of the Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries. The federation represents most large industries in the country and will present its proposal to their finance minister ahead of national budget negotiations this week. Zimbabwe stopped using its own currency in 2009 to end hyperinflation. The country now mainly uses the US dollar, though rands, euros, British pounds and several other currencies are also legal tender. In recent weeks, the country has experienced a shortage of foreign currency. This has led to the Zimbabwean government paying its workers late. President Robert Mugabe last week authorized the introduction of dollar-backed bond notes to ease a shortage of the US currency. Businesses in Zimbabwe also say the introduction of the rand as the main currency would help reduce domestic prices and raise its international competitiveness.
Right, let's see how the markets closed here at home. Let's check in with the Weather Center. Here's Louis.
Hi there everyone and welcome to the Weather Centre. There was a defined boundary today through the central parts of the country that separated dry air all across the western half of the country where it remained sunny and warm, while in the east there was quite a bit of moisture in circulation, and that's the area where showers and thunderstorms were present, and it was a mostly cloudy day over KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo as well as in Mpumalanga. Let's take a look at your forecast for tomorrow, and we're expecting Tuesday to bring some high temperatures to the interior of KZN along with scattered thunder showers, but those storms will be isolated towards the coastline. Quite a bit of cloud along the south coast where temperatures will reach the mid-20s. A few thunderstorms for parts of the Eastern Cape. Those could even reach the Wild Coast, Port St. John's, with a maximum of 25 isolated showers and perhaps even a thunderstorm or two in your area. While in the Western Cape it will be mostly dry. Very isolated storms could reach the Vredendal region, and a couple of those storms might even drift down towards the Karoo towards the late evening. Isolated showers, perhaps even thunderstorms for the northern and western parts of the Northern Cape. Alexander Bay, mostly cloudy, a couple of showers in your area, a high of 21. It's also going to be a windy afternoon. Thunderstorms possible for Bloemfontein at 32 degrees, while it's going to be dry in Zastron with a high of 29. And there's a likelihood for thunder showers all across the northwest where temperatures will climb above 30 degrees in the afternoon. A hotter day expected for Limpopo thanks to clearer conditions, but we are still expecting a high probability for thunder showers for some areas. The Lowveld, on the other hand, we don't expect any rainfall. Dry as well for Skukuza and Mpumalanga with a maximum of 38 degrees, while scattered storms are going to develop across the Highveld and along the escarpment. Finally, into Gauteng, it will be a partly cloudy and warm to hot day. Isolated thunder showers likely in the afternoon and early evening. On Wednesday, we're expecting more wet weather through the central and eastern parts of the country. There'll also be some rainfall along the south coast for George and Port Elizabeth. And on Thursday, things will dry up for Uppington with a maximum of 36 degrees, while the wet weather continues in Gauteng, and it's going to be a cloudy day for KZN.
Thank you, Louis. After the break, Namibia's capital holds its own first fashion week and gives exposure to local models. Nairobi. Welcome back. Namibia's capital, Windhoek, has held its very first fashion week.
Yep, and designers showcased their spring and summer collections from around the continent.
It was also a chance for local models to get exposure.
Well, more than 1,300 kilometers from Johannesburg, we're in a country renowned for its iconic dunes and picturesque deserts. Welcome to Windhoek Fashion Week. It's a platform to showcase the creative designs, not only from Namibia, but also powerhouses from the rest of the continent. It's a glitz and glam industry filled with buyers, influencers and investors, all galvanizing a fashion hub in the city.
Seeing that it's the first one for Namibia, I think it's very important for the local community to start growing, to see what is there, what can be done.
It's good that we're working with other countries to boost our fashion industry.
The brains behind Windhoek Fashion Week is model and industry stakeholder Louis Munana and Kalisto Mukoroli.
Yeah, I mean, I've done Cape Town Fashion Week, Joburg Fashion Week in Tanzania and East Africa and so forth. And I always wondered, why not Windhoek, why not Namibia? You know, why should we always go out there to have a fashion week?
Is there a market?
Yes, there is a market. We have well-established designers right here in the country. So we have a market, we're exploiting it, we're giving it an opportunity on the right platform to showcase.
Selecting the designers, that was the hardest thing ever, because everybody has a unique sense of style, everybody has a unique sense of design. So that process, we left it to the Fashion Council of Namibia.
The bad weather prevented the inaugural outdoor show from kicking off, but organizers have promised to be back with a bang. Nondabeko Sbisi in Windhoek, Namibia.
A reminder of your top stories before we say goodbye. The presidency questions the leak of audio recordings of state capture investigations and calls it unprecedented.
And now that she is resting, and can she rest in peace?
The ANC Youth League takes a swipe at former public protector and rubbishes her report on state capture. And that's a wrap from the eNews Direct team.
Yes, indeed. We're back same time tomorrow. Still on the way, Room City.
We do love to hear from you. You can send us an email to enewsdirect@etv.co.za.
Until tomorrow, take care.